Hello crafters and welcome to season 3 of P2PCrafts Presents, brought to you by From Picture to Page and Beyond Papercraft shows. Now I'm your host Michelle Brown, Creative Director at From Picture to Page, which is our scrapbooking, mixed media art and papercrafts community. Now P2PCrafts presents a whole heap of interesting interviews and demonstrations with our talented retailers, as long as some guest artists. So for all the details of season 3, head over to our website fromPictureToPageAndBeyond.com.au, where you can see all of the videos through season 3 as well as 1 and 2. You can see all the links to our retailers and to continue to support our local retailers in these challenging times. And while you're over there, make sure you're on our email list, because at the end of each week we wrap up all the sessions that we've had and send it directly to your inbox, as well as any updates, particularly about our upcoming Sandown show online. Now, whether you're watching here live on Facebook or a replay through Facebook, YouTube, or on our website, we would love to know that you're there. So pop in the comments, just like Wendy and Tammy and Heidi have. Say hi, let us know that you're there. And if you do have any questions for us, ask away and we'll do our very best to answer them as we go along. So today, P2PCrafts presents Eclectic Images with Cathy. Hello, Cathy.
Hey, how you going, everyone?
Oh, it's so good to have you here again. How's things in Ballarat today?
Well, I was actually hoping to sit out here on the veranda in the nice sunny weather, but it's not so sunny already.
I know, we had our glimpse of summer, it's come and gone.
Although it's not our usual Ballarat cold. I'm actually quite comfortable sitting outside, whereas the last few weeks, no, it's been by the fire the whole time. So,
That's good to know. And what's happening at Eclectic Images headquarters these days?
well, a lot of what we're doing is just getting content ready for our YouTube channel and also for P2P Presents and also for Craft Alive. So we've been doing a lot of online things with the various companies, as well as putting extra stuff up on YouTube. So it's a matter of me and you husband does doing it go. Although we noticed there is a bit of an edit in today's one because I suddenly forgot to have some stamps next to me that I meant to have. So he had to stop recording and doing it. But normally he just edits it live as we're going, and then we're ready for uploading. So we've been learning on a big learning curve for getting, I mean, he's skilled as a cameraman, but to get stuff to be able to load it to YouTube, that was a big thing that we hadn't done before that we have done now. And now we're finding it's quite easy to do. And today we've done a pre-recorded one because living out in the country, as you can see, if I pan around, see our lovely bushland, we have lovely bush and lousy internet.
Well, you can't have everything, can you, in Australia?
So we've done a pre-recorded class for today so that you'll get the quality without having to worry about whether my internet's dropping in and out. So yeah, we've got some new stamp designs in the process. I was promising stuff earlier in the year, but I find that because we've been so focused on the YouTube stuff and filming and planning out classes for shows and that sort of thing, that the designing has fallen behind a bit. But I've just treated myself to a new little iPad and drawing program, which will hopefully make things a lot quicker, which means we'll get new designs out faster. So those who entered our competition way back before our Bendigo show that we did, we had a competition there about the sloth and the penguin. They will still be designed. We're still looking at them being done this year, but it's probably going to be for the end of the year. But they'll be
fair enough. Well, that's what's the challenge with these businesses, isn't it? That we wear all the hats. We're doing the events, we're doing the classes, we're doing the designs.
And that's small business. You do it all. And do we want it any different? We love having our small business that give us the personal contact with people. You know, you gain a lot if your business grows, but you lose as well. So I'd be happy to have my small business, but I just want to get a bit more designing time so that we can get some new stuff happening. I've always got so many more ideas than what I can ever make as stamp.
Yeah.
But yeah, lots more. I've got some good ideas happening for some extra things to add to our scenes range.
Oh,
so
excellent.
like silhouette cows and birds and stuff that all work well with the horizon and the fence line and that sort of stuff. So lots of plans, just someone's got to tie me down to the computer and make me actually do it.
Excellent. And how do you sort of capture all those ideas before you're ready to develop them further?
I do have a program on my phone, just a notes program, and I'll just jot down ideas. And then and I also write things on scraps of paper that are just littered all around the computer. And when I'm ready to actually do something, I'll sit down and look at, okay, well, what series are we working on now? So I want to do a whole set of, again, for the scenes, things like we've got the willow, but I want to do some finer, wispier willow and some hanging vines and some ferns. But I want it to still have an Australian look. So I've said to Matthew, when things relax, we just need to have a holiday for a couple of days down the Otways and take lots of photos.
I think we're all going to need a couple of days holiday soon enough.
Yeah. But I get a lot of inspiration just walking around here. I've been picking bracken leaves to take photos of, and our wattle stamp came from just photographing some of the wattle. We've got so many different varieties of wattle just in our area. So just walking around, I'll get ideas. We've been taking photos over winter of the beautiful little red toadstools.
Lovely.
That's an idea for some more stamp designs as well. So poor Matthew lying on the wet ground to get some toadstools for me.
He's a good man, isn't he?
And he loves photography. He loves doing camera work. So, that's his hobby, is his photography. So if I say I need photos of such and such, it's giving him a reason to grab the macro lens and off we go.
Yeah.
So the two loves work together. I do find it very funny when we're watching a sunset or something, and I'll be saying, "Oh, now that's a little bit of such and such a pink," and I'll put in a little bit of orange twist in there, and he'll go, "No, that's gel color L13," and so he's looking at it from a lighting or camera point of view, and I'm looking at the colors from ink pads. But we have the same appreciation of color and light and things like that. So we do work very well as a team. I keep laughing though, because he used to work on so many shows. People would have met him traveling around doing the shows with me, and then he gradually eased himself out of that, and he claims it's because he's too busy at work. But at the moment his work isn't going back until March next year.
Wow.
So he's doing lots of stuff from home. And I was laughing that because of now doing the online stuff and doing camera work and everything, that I've dragged him back into the business.
Yes, but definitely behind the scenes this time.
Yes.
Excellent. So what have you and Matthew prepared for us today?
Well, we're going to be continuing with the last ones we've done. We were focusing on the Versamagic chalk inks. And there's a few different looks that I want to show with that. So what we're doing today shows two different styles with them, and then I've got some more planned for Sandown. We'll have a class with the Sandown online show, and then I'll have a couple more looks. We'll do another couple of YouTube clips that you'll see after the Sandown show, which will sort of finish off this Versamagic theme. The clip you're going to see today does have our lovely little grandson gurgling away in the background, and he made an appearance at the end because he was quite a part of it.
That's good. I think we had him on last time too. That's great.
Yes. So yes, we babysat because our kids were off filming for their job and couldn't have him around, but they're filming educational program things, and we thought, oh, they really can't have Grayson noises in, whereas I hope the crafting crowd will excuse his little chuckles and things. So
exactly.
Yeah. So three of us involved with filming this
Well,
one.
I do think we have a lovely crafting community, and I'm sure you're more than forgiving for a few baby noises in the background. Excellent. Well, I think hopefully we've got this all ready. So everybody hold on, and we will do our best to play Cathy's video. So here we go.
Okay, so today we're going to do a little bit more in our work that we've been doing with the Versamagic chalk inks. So I've already done several demonstrations with these, and I just want to do another couple. The two cards I'm going to do are quite different, but it's just showcasing some more of the things that the inks can do, as well as some more of what our stamps can do. So this first one I'm going to be following an aqua theme, and we're going to do some multi-layer stamping with one of the Alte-new sets. Now this one's Garden Treasure. We're going to be then doing some multi-layer stenciling, and I'll use a Beati stencil for that, the swirl, and I'll add in a little bit of our sketch swirl stamp as well. Then, for a change of pace, back to our pears that we've used before, just because it's a big enough size that it shows off some of the effects that we can get with the chalk inks really well. And I'm going to use the texture stripes to create both a wallpaper look and a gingham look. So we'll work with those again with the chalk ink pads and also our little cherry stamp. We might add in with that one as well. So Versamagics, I've got some aquas for our first one, and then I've got some browns and reds and greens for the second one that we're creating. So let's start having a play. So with our I've already loaded up the solid one of our first bigger flower with the Alte-new. So what I'm wanting to show here is how that even if we had just two colours, so let's take out the lighter colour for the moment, even just two colours with our chalk inks, how we can create a 4-layered effect. So if I just ink up this solid stamp, so this is using turquoise gem, and I'm going to go for a reasonably solid coverage of ink here. Okay, we're going to stamp that in the centre of our card. Push down nice and evenly, lift straight up. So that's given us a pretty good image there in the middle. Just give it a clean before I take it off. And now I'm going to use the same colour with the next layer. And because of the nature of the chalk inks, it will come out deeper looking. So we'll grab that same colour, so turquoise gem, ink up nice and thoroughly. Now we do have our gorgeous grandson Grayson with us today, playing on the floor with some toys, and I can see he's trying to reach over to grab something at the moment. So we may get a few little odd noises and bits happening. And Gramps may have to go to the rescue a couple of times, but we're going to just keep playing here. So we'll line that one up, stamp it down, and you'll see we've got the two shades of colour. Even though it's the same colour, it gives us two shades, and that's the nature of this being a pigment ink, that we can do that. Then we'll switch to the next layer and a darker ink. Now because I do want we could do the same with this if we had two more solid stamps, but because I'm going to do the outline with this as well, we're going to ink this one. You're not going to see this same effect with the next one. Pop that in there. So that gives us our next depth, and then we'll use that same colour to give us our outline. So we still get our stages of depth, even though we're only working with two colours, instead of you would normally work with 4 colours to get this layered image happening. So let's ink up that one. You'll notice it's a soft, squishy ink pad, this one. I don't get the ink pad and press it onto the stamp, nor do I get the stamp and press it onto the ink pad. I just tap across so that we get a good inking, but without getting ink smeared all over the backing area. So we're not wasting any of our ink. Now let's pop that around our petals, line ourselves up, and stamp. Okay, and there we've got a multi-layered flower done with just 2 colours. Now to build out our picture, we're going to add some extra fronds in there with the same darker colour. And I've got a mask that I've already made of that flower that I'll just pop over the top. So this has just been stamped on a post-it note and cut out. So that means that I can now overlap my next image without it actually going over the top of the image that we've just stamped. So let's grab the little frondy flowers, ink those up. And we're going to bring those out either side of our flower. The Versamagic chalks do give really good outline images, as well as stamping solid stamps really well. So So when I take my mask away, we'll see that those are just tucked in underneath there really nicely. Okay. Now we're going to do the stenciling around it. So I'm going to use the same colours, but I'm going to start with the softer one. A lot of the Versamagic inks come in almost like sets of 3. So here we've got Sea Breeze, then Turquoise Gem, and then the Ocean Depth. So that gives us 3 shades in the aqua tones. So we're going to start with Sea Breeze, the lighter one. I grab Sea Breeze. I should have grabbed Aquatic Splash. Anyway, we're going to keep going. Aquatic Splash is a bit more turquoisey than this one, but this will still work. So let's just lay our stencil on, and I'm going to bring it in quite close to our stamped image. And using a number 8 size brush, I'll just circle over that. I do often like to still start on my stencil or start near the edge of the card and then shade in. And I need to be careful where there's some bits of the stencil where there's ends like that bit there. I don't want to come back towards that and risk peeling it up. So I'll do my stenciling going in the direction that the bits of the stencil go. Let's get some more down the bottom there. Lift our stencil off and we can see our lovely pattern that we're creating. Now I'm just going to continue those swirls coming down the card. So what we're doing is we're actually going to be using one stencil but building up a multi-layered background. Now I'm just looking at which part of the stencil is going to work well. With that bit there. I'm not wanting to use the same part of the stencil all the time. I want to move it around so I'm using different bits. And I'm looking at what's going to look like it's all one pattern. I don't want to look like I've got bits of stencil. I want the pattern to join up. We've still got funny little noises happening in the background. Now I might turn the stencil that way and bring in a few of those fronds there. So I'm wanting to come in with the lighter colour, I'm wanting to come in close to our stamped image but not overlap it at all. So I'm actually going to just stop at that bit so that I can bring a little bit more in up closer to it. There we go. That's going to work. Pick up some of those really cute dots on it. Okay, oh, I've got a spot there. Well, I'll pick that up with the next colour. So what I'm going to do is now use the same stencil but with a darker colour. So now we move into our turquoise gem. And this time will be a little bit further out from, and we can use the same pattern and just offset it a bit, or we can use different parts of the stencil. So let's try doing a little bit of both. So now we're going to be more to the outer part of the card, so we get this double layer with our pattern. And a little munchkin who so wants to be mobile, he's so close to crawling and desperate to start doing something, getting into things, but of course gets frustrated because he's not quite there. So now he's helping Grampy with the camera work. So you can see we've got the softer waves coming in and then the stronger ones at the edge. Let's do some of these bits along here. And then we'll echo this as we brush on a little bit of background colour with our inks as well. Now I really want to fill in that spot there. And you can see the really nice soft look you get with the chalk inks. Do a nice big curl up in that corner. But I still need to fill in something there, so we'll do some little swirls there. Maybe that side. You can just move your stencil around until you find the bits that you're happy with. That's going to fill those spots in. Just need a little bit more down the bottom here. Let's have a little curl there. So now I'm just going to pick out, looking to see if there's any little gaps that need filling in, and just add little edges of a curl. Need something down there. And maybe something in there. Okay, I'm now just going to give my brush a bit of a brush off and go back to our softer colour. Perfect. Clean that on my apron. Okay, we're going to get the soft one. Yes. Okay, so now I'm going to just do some circles. And smudge in. Because it's a soft colour, I'm bringing it almost into our stamped image. Starting off on the outer edge though, so that I've got a bit more control over the colour. And then bringing in... Hello Grace, it is fun, isn't it? And we've got the dog here as well, so she's just given a big shake and wandered around. So it's a whole family affair today. Now switch to our next colour and we'll circle this on as well, but now I'm not going to come in as far. Now I'll stick more to the outer edge. So with both our stenciling and our shading, we're adding depth to our card. So the centre will be more highlighted and then it goes to deeper on the outside, and this actually brings our flower out as the focal point. I know, we're just hilarious today, aren't we, Grayson? Now, I'll just switch to our ocean depths, our deeper colour, and we're going to just pick up some of that and just smudge this right around the outer edge. So I'm not doing circles so that I don't get too much spread of colour, and you'll notice there's a lot more going onto the backing card now because I'm aiming to just pick up the outer edge of the card. Little smudgy sounds as I smoosh that on. Okay. Now I would then, as a finished card, probably make a backing card with some of those same colours, and I would probably add some little bits of glitter or glossy accents, particularly around the flower centres there. I'll see how we're going for time. We might come back and add a bit more to that one. But what I wanted to show was this layering of colour and layering of the stencils to get depth of colour with only using a small palette of colours. Okay, so let's switch to our next bit of card and have a look at our gingham effect. Now I'm just looking for a acrylic box. So I'm going to use the stripe stamp, texture stripes, and a pear stamp, which I'm going to ask Matthew to freeze the camera for a moment while I grab the pear stamp. Okay, for our second card, we're going to use the pear stamps, and this is because the solid part of the pear image is so good for showing different effects, and I'm going to use the texture stripes. So what we do is ink up our pear with our green ink. It's lovely to have help. So I'm using tea leaves, and I want a good coverage of the ink so that we can really see the effect that we're going to create with the stripy stamp. So just making sure I'm getting good coverage there. Now I get the stripes, and I'm going, now this is the lift off technique that we've done before with the sketch swirl stamp, but this time I'm actually going to go in one direction and a ever so slight twist, just a really tiny twist, and lift off, and you'll see we've created a stripy look there. I'll give that stamp a quick wipe on me, of course, and now I'm going to turn the stripes around and do the same thing in the other direction. And this will actually create a gingham look, which you'll see as we stamp this down on our bit of paper. Let's turn that stamp around so that you can see the image really well. And in fact, I'm going to cut this one out so I can use this half my piece of paper. So press down nice and firmly. And lift up, and we've got a gingham pear. Isn't that cute? Oh, I just love it. I just think that's gorgeous. Okay, clean those stamps off. And then we're going to pop an outline around that one, and then we'll create our wallpaper background. So let's just change our pears over. So take off the solid one, pop on the outline, and now we'll switch to a deeper green. So I'm going to change to, what have I got here? Hint of pesto. Just tap across my stamp. And then we're going to line it up over our ginghamed one. And stamp. Remember, most of these are made with a very sketchy look, so it doesn't matter if you don't line up exactly. That's pretty cute, isn't it? And then we're very quickly going to make our background, and then we can cut this one out. So our background, I think I'll do with, what are we going to do? There's different ways that you can do the stripy look. I'm just going to show you one just on the back of this card, and then we'll tip it over. If we just wanted to do a border with the stripes, or a ginghamy border, you could actually just tear a bit of paper towel or a normal bit of paper, mask off your corner, and so that gingham effect works when you're doing your stamping as well as for lifting off. So if we ink up our stamp, stamp it one way and then stamp the other way, we'll also get that gingham effect. So we can create a little ginghamy background if we want to. Or if we want to create, in fact, I'm going to keep going with that. Let's do the top half like that as well. Oh, sorry, the top half, the other corner. But this way I've got making a little bit of a challenge for myself to make sure I line everything up. And I wasn't really watching that I was getting things straight before. We'll have a look. We'll have a look and see whether we go with it or not. Now let's pop some upright ones in. So we've created ourselves a little gingham top to the card. The other way that we can do our stamping with this stamp to create a wallpapery look is just to use it just with the stripes. So this time I'm going to use the other side of my paper towel, which is a straight edge, or I would use just a straight edged bit of paper. Lay our stripes down. Now I'm just watching with the edge of the card and the edge of a stripe to make sure that I'm fairly up and down. And then we'll just ink again and fill in the last bit of the card. Okay, I'm not happy, I'm a little bit off there. And as I want this to be a feature, I am going to flip the card over. But you can see the difference with just using it as a stripe compared with using it as the gingham. So let's just do, what do we want for our wallpaper? Should we go a ginghamy look for the whole wallpaper? Let's do that. Oh, Grayson, you're not helping, darling. Poor Matthew's trying so hard to do camera work with these beautiful close-ups while holding a very wriggly grandson. Okay. So stamp it on. And again, I'm just looking for the edge of the card. See how much I can get it straight up and down. This would actually be a little bit easier if I popped it onto a different colour background so that my backing card was standing out a bit more from the, what am I trying to say, Matthew? From the scrap paper. Okay, now let's ink up our stamp again and go the other way. So that's given our stamp stripes that way. Now we want our stripes going this way. So this time I'm lining up with the bottom edge of the card. Guess who's learnt to growl in the recent weeks? And thinks it's very, very funny. We're very funny when we growl. Okay, so now we've created a ginghamy look along the bottom of our card. And then if I had thought to grab a piece of the stamp set I've got from Darkroom Door, which has ribbons, I could just stamp a ribbon across there. The other way that I can create a ribbon is just with my ink pad, which was I using Sahara Sand. Although what have we done? Oh, now let's do a bit of green. I'm going to create a bit of green, and I'm just going to get 2 edges of paper. Oh dear. We're going to get 2 edges of paper, pop them down to make a little gap there. And I'm just going to wipe my ink pad across and create a little strip of colour. Okay, so that's going to give us a little ribbon across there. Now we're going to use our little cherry stamp. Oh yes, little man. I'm going to use our cherry stamp, and I'm going to be a little bit sneaky and ink it up on 2 ink pads. Now I work a lot with the larger size ink pad. You can get these ink pads as dewdrops, and when you're doing this sort of stuff where you're inking up a stamp with 2 colours, it actually is easier with the dewdrops. But of course, the colours that I want to use are the ones I've got on the big pads. So I'm just inking up the leaves, and then I'm inking up the cherry part on the red. And then we're going to, I can have a look and see that I've got enough coverage from the red. And then we're going to stamp some little cherries. And it's going to mean inking up each time again. But it's so cute, it's worth being a little bit fiddly. And we're going to make a real 1950s style wallpaper. Now we have got a couple of designs from my sister, who has done all our designs of our ladies. We've got a couple of 1950s looking ladies, and I'm actually itching to try this technique to make really lovely cherry patterns to go behind our 1950s ladies. However, I've got to actually find some time to do some stamp designs to actually get our 1950s ladies into production. Now I've got a little bit of red coming on, a little bit too much red coming onto my green leaves, so I'll just stamp it off on my scrap and then keep going. So I'm offsetting them this time. So we've got a line of 3, we'll have a line of 3 going up that way. That's very cute, isn't it? How's it going, Grayson? Now I'll have the pear in the middle there, so I probably don't need to put one right in there. just give ourselves a little bit of a clean because I'm starting to get a bit too much contamination happening with the colours. Start again. Bit of red, bit of green, bit of red. We could also do inking of a stamp like this. We could do it with using markers, but I particularly wanted this, that would give a lot bolder colour, whereas I really wanted the soft colour of the chalks. And another one up there. And sorry, Matthew and Grayson, we're going to need another row of cherries, so you just got to hang in there a little bit longer with us. And one more. Okay, so there's our little wallpaper look. Now I'm just going to grab a pair of scissors and we're going to trim out this pear so we can layer it over the top. And I'm going to do it quickly because we don't want to take too long over our card today. I'm actually going to leave a little bit of a border around it, which means my cutting out is a bit quicker. So we're just trimming around there. This way I haven't got to worry about which of the sketchy lines to follow too. Trim that bit off. Okay, and our pear will layer over like that. Now I do think I want to stamp in, and I'll do this and show you a finished one later. I just want to stamp or draw a little bit of an edge in on that top of our wallpaper look. And I think we do need some green edging around the whole card. So I'll go back to our hint of pesto colour and let's tie the whole thing in together by our edging. This is the same colour that we used to stamp the outline of the pear, so it should help everything all meld in together. Okay, and so that's our cute little gingham card. Now the other thing that I was going to do back to our first card was just a little bit of the sketch swirl stamp that I forgot to do in this one with the Ocean Depths ink, which will create some more depth around the outer edge. So let's just ink up our sketch swirl stamp and pop that in as well. But it's got to be right to the outer edges so we don't lose the beautiful stenciled effect. We really want it to add to the pattern that we've created, not take away from it at all. But I'm changing the angle of the stamp as I go around so we get different parts of the swirls coming out. Beautiful. Yes, it is beautiful. Okay, so there's our, let's move this out of the way so we can see our cards a bit better. There's our two cards for today. So our lovely layers there using just a limited array of colours. And then we've got our gorgeous gingham look. And as I said, I'll finish off both these. We'll add some stickles into that one, some glitter, and we'll add in a ribbon across the back of that to give more of a definite border there. And then I'll take some photos of those and put them up on our page for you to have a look at. Okay, thank you very much for being with me today. Thanks, Michelle from P2P Presents for giving us a chance to bring this in. And let's have a little smile from Grayson, who's probably just going to want to grab all the stamps and the cards. But let's have a little we're going to look at the there we go. Look at Gramps over there at the camera. So here's our little helper that we've had today. Here we go. Have a brush rather than the stamps. Oh, now we're going to get into it. Who's going to be the next little stamper? Yay! Okay, thanks for being with us today, and we'll see you again soon before someone tries to eat a brush.
Excellent. Wasn't that just so much fun? Now we'll just get back with Cathy and we'll have a chat. Cathy, thank you so much for sharing that demonstration. Those cards were just delightful.
Oh, thank you. It's a lovely look. The chalk inks are so nice to work with. They're very forgiving. They're very easy to work with, and you can just do all sorts of different effects. And it's because they're a pigment ink and a little bit slower drying, and yet they still are detailed ink. So it's just so much that you can do with them. But they're always going to be that lovely soft fresco colour, which I really like when I'm doing the sort of looking cards that we've just done. Yeah. So I had lots of fun creating those. That reminds me, I must though finish them off with their stickles and get the picture ready.
That'd be great. Now, Chris was just asking, what was the name of the line stamp that you were using?
I talked about using a darkroom door stamp to do a ribbon across. I think that was...
Or the one you then used for the gingham with the lines on it.
It's called Texture Stripes.
Texture Stripes, right. And what made you think of using a stripe stamp to create gingham? That's just blown my mind.
Well, I wanted to create gingham, and I'm thinking, how do I do that? So I was experimenting with different looks to try and get it. And if you do it with something that's got the lines in both ways, so like has already got the crosses, you don't get that. When you've got gingham, you get that look where you've got a darker patch where the two stripes overlap. So if you do it with just a stamp that stamps in one colour, you don't get that look. Yeah. So then I started experimenting with lifting ink off, and that's when I got it. So, and I thought, well, stripes, because then it can be a stamp that can do other things, other looks as well.
Yeah.
So it was the gingham was the final end, but the stripes happened in the meantime. Yeah.
Oh, I'm just blown away. I mean, you watch you do it and you go, of course, that makes perfect sense. But yeah, that's very clever.
It's got to be with the right sort of ink, though. A lot of inks will dry too quick, so you can't do the lift-off technique. Needs to be a pigment ink, although I have done it with the Catherine Pooler colours, because they've, again, even though they're a dye, they're a little bit slower drying. And Distress would probably be the same. I haven't tried it with those, but I think, again, they're a little bit, because they've got the resin in them, they're a little bit slower drying. So I think you'd probably get the same sort of effect.
Yeah, but just kind of that translucent look, so you'd get that little bit of a see-through effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oxides maybe not, because they're a little bit more opaque. But it would be worth playing with the stamp to see what effects we can get with different ink pen. Oh, that's a whole new video, isn't it?
It is. It's so exciting. And Heidi's just said she's ready to run off and play as well. So that's exciting. So where is the best place to find... Sorry?
I like it if I can inspire people to go and have a play.
Exactly. So Thea was just asking, where can they get that texture stripe stamp from?
On my website.
On your website.
eclecticimages.com.au.
Excellent. And of course, we'll put links to all of the stamps that you've used with the video as well, so we'll be able to find them. Fantastic. Well, Cathy, thank you so much for sharing your two beautiful cards with us today.
That's all right, and I'll send you through, I'll run over to my studio and finish them off and send you through some pictures.
Excellent. And thank you also to Grayson. I think it was really lovely just to hear the toddler in the background, because I know those of us with older children, not that I miss the toddler years at all, but yeah, it just does bring back those memories of having that constant babble in the background instead of the electronic games and the endless YouTube videos.
I can say, being a grandma and just having him 2 days a week, that's just bliss.
Yeah.
So we get some Grayson time, but we still get our retired older people time as well.
I'm sure that's why grandchildren were invented, for that perfect balance.
Yes. So thank you for everyone for bearing with us while we got that one done. I did worry towards the end that poor Matthew, we weren't going to actually be able to finish videoing because Grayson was quite restless. But yeah, thank you for bearing with us with all the background noises because we did get there.
Yeah, exactly. That's us. We will press on regardless. And that's the great thing about Papercrafts is if you do need to leave it, put the lids back on the ink pad and then walk away and come back later.
Yep, come back later. Yep, it's still going to be there.
Excellent. Well, Cathy, thank you so much for joining us today.
That's all right. Thank you for having us. Thank you for keeping us all in touch.
We'll see you again soon. Bye.
Bye.
Excellent. So thank you, everyone. I hope Cathy and I did inspire you today to get some of those inks and eclectic images out. As Cathy said, the pears, the stripes, and the layered stamps are all on the Eclectic Images website, which is linked here with this video, and on the Picture to Page website, we'll link directly to those products as well. And while you are here, of course, make sure you give us a like, a thumbs up, share us with your crafty friends, and let everyone know about the gorgeous Eclectic Image stamps, as well as that gingham. That's blown my mind. I'm going to have to go see if I can find a stripy stamp and give that one a go myself. So I hope you all had a fantastic day with us. Thank you so much for joining P2P Craft Presents. And this is Michelle signing off. We hope you have a crafty day.